Alright, this is part 2 of the lesson. We're going to continue working on factoring polynomials. And we've done all these problems 1 through 8. And so we're going to pick up here with number 9. So at this point we are working on factoring trinomials, and which are factoring down as a binomial times a binomial. The method that I'm using is a modified guess and check method. There are many other methods, but this is the one that I prefer. I'm going to show you lots of tricks along the way of how to make this guessing and checking go actually really fast. The key thing to keep in mind is the inner plus the outer must equal the middle. And I will show you what I mean by that. So as we factor this down, there is no common factor. Always look for that first. So in the absence of a GCF, we go straight to binomial times a binomial. You start with your 2x squared. How does that factor? Well, 2 is a prime number, so it's pretty easy. It's got to be 2x times x. Now, next you look at the 6. Don't worry about the negative yet. How does 6 factor? There are two possible ways. It's either going to be 2 times 3, or it's going to be 1 times 6. Okay? Now, because there is a leading coefficient of 2, I can't just look at these pairs and start looking for the 11 right now. So I'm going to start with the 2 times 3. Now, and if I'll show you how to figure out if that's going to work or not. Here's my first trick, though, shortcut that I want to let you know about. Right now, it matters whether I put the 2 here and the 3 here, or if I put the 3 here and the 2 here. Okay, I'm working on the alright, so I'm working on the 2 times 3. It matters. So I already know that one of those two ways I just showed you will definitely not work, and so I would not waste my time even trying it. And I want you to know what I'm thinking right now. So let's go back to the 2 times 3. I know that this is not going to give me the answer right now, and the reason why I know that is because of this. Within the parentheses, you should never have a common factor. Alright, if the original problem didn't have a common factor, then you shouldn't have a common factor inside your parentheses either. That it will never happen. So if one of your options involves a common factor, you know that that's not the answer, so you skip it. So it makes the guessing and checking go twice as fast, because it eliminates often half of the possibilities. So we won't waste our time putting the 2 here, so we will go straight to 3 times 2. And if this doesn't work, we'll just cross off the 2 times 3 option and go to the 1 times 6 option. Okay, so inner, I have, alright, so here's the inner plus outer equals middle. Inner, I'm talking about these two. Alright, so inner, I've got 3x. Outer, I'm talking about these two. And we're multiplying. So outer, I have 4x. Alright, the middle is this negative 11x. I can control the signs to be whatever I want. So is there any way I can get negative 11x out of 3x and 4x? No. I could make them both negative, and that would make negative 7, but that's as close as I can get. So that means the 3 and 2 is not working. And I already know that reversing them won't work either because of the GCF shortcut I mentioned earlier. So that means we can forget about 2 times 3. Alright, and go with the 1 and 6. Now again with the shortcut, guys, it matters whether I do 1 times 6 or whether I do 6 times 1. Now, which one of those am I not going to waste any time on because I already know it's wrong? Yeah, this way. This way I already know is not going to work, so I won't waste any time on it. And again, it's because of 2 and 6 have a common factor. They are both divisible by 2. There should be no common factor inside your parentheses if the original problem didn't have a common factor. So I'm not going to waste any time on the 6, 1 option. I'm only going to do the 1, 6 option. And this is our last thing, so it better work. Or else it's prime. If nothing works, it's prime. So inner plus outer equals middle. Inner, that's my 1x. Outer, I'm multiplying, so that is 12x. We can make the signs whatever we want. So what would the signs need to be to make negative 11x? Well, if I had a positive 1x and a negative 12x, that would make negative 11x if you combined like terms. So positive 1x, you say? Here's my positive 1 for my positive 1x. That means this other one must be the negative 1, and it makes sense because negative 6 times the positive 2, that's the outer, that gives us negative 12. So there's one last thing you always have to check. Do not skip this step. You have to check to make sure that you're getting the right sign on the constant. It needs to be negative. And sure enough, a positive times a negative is a negative, so that's good. Alright, which means this is the answer. Okay. OCD rules my life sometimes. Okay, number 10. Should I leave this on the screen? Yeah. Inner plus outer equals middle, guys. Let's do it again. Is there a common factor here? Is there a GCF? No. So when you're factoring a trinomial, you're going to go straight to binomial times binomial if there's no GCF to start with. So you start with the first term, 2x squared. 2 is a prime number, so that makes it easy. 2x squared can only factor as 2x and x. Alright, next, skip the middle for now and skip over to the 9. Don't worry about the sign right now, just think of it as a 9. Now, what are all the ways that I can factor 9? There are 2 ways. 9 is either going to be 3 times 3, or it's going to be 1 times 9. Because we have a leading coefficient of 2, there's a number here. We can't just look at these pairs and look for the 17. I'll have kids who are used to other methods going, Mr. Burton, this one must be prime because 3 and 3, there's no way to make 17. 1 and 9, there's no way to make 17. It must be impossible. Well, no, it doesn't work like that. You can't get the 17 out of these numbers directly. You have to think in terms of inner plus outer equals middle. And here's what I mean. Let's start with the 3 times 3 option. 3 times 3. Okay, when I say inner plus outer equals middle, this is my inner. Okay, and I'm multiplying. 3 times x, that's 3x, so my inner is 3x. This is what I mean by outer. And we are multiplying. So outer, I have 6x. Alright? Inner plus outer must equal the middle. Now the middle that I'm talking about is the middle term. Positive 17x. Now the only thing I can control at this point are the signs. If I choose the signs right, is there any way I can get positive 17 out of this? Well, no. The closest I can get, I could make them both positive. That'll make positive 9. But no, I can't make 17. That means the 3 times 3 option is a fail. So let's go to the 1 times 9 option. And it matters whether it's 1 times 9 or 9 times 1. So if one of them doesn't work, we'll try the other. When you get comfortable with this, you'll start doing some of this in your head, and it will go even quicker. So we'll try the 1 times 9 first. If that doesn't work, we'll switch it and put the 9 here and the 1 here. So what do I have inner and outer? Well, inner, I have 1x. Outer, and remember I'm multiplying, so outer I have 18. 2 times 9 is 18. I want a positive 17, so the inner plus the outer must equal the middle. If I choose signs right, is there a way that I can get positive 17 out of this? Sure. If I had a positive 1, no. I meant to say if I have a negative 1x and a positive 18, that will make positive 17. So negative 1x, well, there's my negative 1 right there. That means this one must be the positive, and it makes sense because positive 9 times positive 2, that's the outer, that gives me the positive 18. There's one last thing you always must check. You need to check this right here. Make sure you have the right signs to give you negative 9. And a negative times a positive is a negative, so that works out great. So that means this is the answer. Okay. Number 11. Is there a common factor? Always look for the common factor, because, oh look, I'm like looking at number 13. See how these are all divisible by 2? You have to bring out that common factor first if there is one. But this one doesn't have it, so we're going to go straight to binomial times binomial. Start with your 3x squared. That can only factor as 3x times x. Alright, it's prime, so that's the only way. Next, look at the 4. Don't worry about the sign right now, just think of it as a 4. There are two ways to factor 4. It's either going to be 2 times 2, or it's going to be 1 times 4. Alright, let's just start with the 2 times 2. Okay, so 2 times 2. Now here's the key. The inner plus the outer must equal the middle. The inner is 2x. I'm multiplying. So I've got an inner of 2x. The outer, I am multiplying, so the outer is 6x. Alright, now the middle that I'm referring to is positive 11x. So if I choose the signs correctly, is there any way to get positive 11 out of 2 and 6? No. 6 plus 2 is 8. That's the closest I can get with this. So the 2 times 2 option is not working. We're going to call that a fail. So cross that out. So now we're going to go ahead and try the 1 times 4 option. So as you can see, this needs to be done in pencil because there's some trial and error involved. There's going to be some erasing. So you really should never do math in pen, but this is especially true for factoring. So 1 times 4. Now it matters whether I put 1 here and 4 here or the other way around. So we'll just have to check them and see. Inner, I have 1x. Outer, I have 12x. Alright, I can control the signs. Is there any way that I can make the signs so that it will give me a positive 11x total? Yes, if I have a negative 1 and a positive 12, that will give me positive 11x. So negative 1x, you say? There's my negative 1. Positive 12 must come from this, and it makes sense because this is my outer, positive 4 times positive 3, that's where the 12 comes from. There's one last thing you always must check. You need to check the sign on this constant. And a negative times a positive is a negative, so it works out. That means this is the answer. Okay, I'm going to do one more problem on this video, and then I'll stop it, and we'll pick up with another video. I don't like the videos to be too long. Okay, inner plus outer equals middle. Always check to see if there's a common factor first. Nope, there is no common factor. So trinomial is going to factor as a binomial times a binomial. Start with your 5x squared. 5x squared will factor as 5x and x. 5 is a prime number, so that's the only way. Then look at the 2 at the end. 2 is a prime number, so that can only be one way. 1 times 2. Now, having said that, it matters whether we put the 1 and then the 2 or the 2 and then the 1. Let's try the 1 and 2 first. Now, when you get more comfortable with this, you're going to start mentally checking these things, and you'll see ahead of time, that's not going to work, so it'll get much faster when you get a little better. But for now, just it's going to feel like trial and error. So inner plus outer equals middle. So inner, I have 1x. Outer, I'm multiplying, so this is 10x. The middle that I'm talking about is positive 9x. So inner plus outer must equal the middle. I can control the signs. So is there a way that I can pick the signs so that I will get positive 9? Well, yes, actually. If I have a negative 1x and a positive 10x, that will make positive 9. So negative 1x, there's my negative 1 right there. Positive 10x, this must be the positive, and it makes sense because positive 2 times 5 will give me the positive 10. You always have to check one last thing. Check this sign. Make sure that you're actually getting a negative 2. And a negative times a positive is a negative, so that's great. That works out just fine. So that means that this is the answer. Alright, I'm going to stop this video here, and we will pick up with number 13 on the next video.